Bonjour à tous et toutes.
So, welcome everybody to this year's launch conference in this wonderful study room for the official launch of the 35th Sommet d'élevage.
Vous êtes plus de 79 en principe dans la salle.
You are about 80 people here in the room from 6 different countries and over 300 via video link.
De 72 pays, à quel point ce sont
even more so than 300, 600 apparently.
Merci à l'ambassadrice, Madame Nyamkhuu.
Thank you again to Madame ULAMBAYAR, who is the ambassador of Mongolia to France,
sur ce plateau,
who is here with us today.
Nous avons aussi l'ambassadeur des Philippines, Edouard.
We also have the Philippine ambassador.
Tout de suite, avant de démarrer, regardez quelques images du salon.
And so we're going to have a look, a short video of this year's summit.
Voilà la barre est haute
So,
pour cette édition
there we are.
2026 avec cet enfant.
This is the launch video for this year's show.
Évidemment, des innovations et puis du collectif pour en parler. Merci d'accueillir le président.
So please welcome, the first person to speak is Jacques Chazalet, President of the Sommet.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Hello, Jack.
Vous êtes fier, j'imagine, d'y retourner une fois de plus?
Oui, alors,
So,
pour mettre les choses
once again, here in Paris for this launch.
2024.
Bien sûr.
2025, bon, on va pas redire tout ce qu'on...
We won't talk about 2025 because of the issues with the fact there weren't cattle at the show.
C'est très difficile, cette ambiance. Parce qu'il y a des problèmes sanitaires, mais il n'y a pas de problèmes sanitaires.
Often we run into issues of health issues at the time of the Sommet d'élevage in October. So, as far as this year is concerned,
qui organise le Salon international d'agriculture, 3 salons, donc.
So 3 shows, SPAS and the Paris Farm Show.
GDS France pour essayer d'harmoniser quand même les procédures.
We'll have tried to put together to harmonize all the procedures for welcoming cattle and sheep to their shows. But it's important. We want to be serene. We want to not be under any kind of stress because of potential health issues that might affect the livestock present at the show. So first of all, to come back to this show. So obviously, welcome everybody who's here. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the Limousin farmers as well for their involvement. And again, Madam the Ambassador of Mongolia, because it's your country that's driven this International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. And we are hoping that this year's show will be even bigger than the images from last year's show. We hope that farmers will find everything that they require at the show, doing what we can for it to be a good show for various reasons, not just from an economic point of view, but also from a political point of view, farmers finding solutions to the problems that they're facing today.
On voit que de plus en plus, on peut faire l'IA. Il ne faut pas, dans l'agriculture, on s'en sert. Les éleveurs, ils s'en servent. On en a besoin.
Also, we must talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and the SOMMET is again another show that needs to be connected, needs to be involved on the widest scale possible to allow people, even those who are unable to come to the show, to be able to exchange, to discuss, to learn, and to see what solutions and what products are available for them to use on their farms.
Bien sûr. Et c'est très chouette, je trouve, de votre part de le poser comme ça en introduction.
So it's good of you to present this importance of the show. So from a health point of view, regulations and political and other things, yes, obviously.
C'est aussi un lien, je trouve, dans ce sommet qui est assez incroyable.
So this link that we have, as we can see, the fact so many people are here, either present or online. It's a link that's a generational link. It's a link with the land, the landscapes, the farmland, and a link between different continents.
La chose centrale de cette édition 2026.
So connectivity is the main driver of this year's show, exactly. But it's also this forum where people from other countries come to do business, to see what we do, perhaps learn from what we do. And this year with the Limousin breed and the excellence of French livestock, we hope, we believe, that we have everything as far as excellence in livestock farming. Maybe we don't, but maybe it's what drives people to come and visit our show.
Évidemment. Alors pour vous dans la salle et vous qui êtes à distance,
so for you here on remote and also for here in room, we're also going to put on now a QR code which you need to scan. Scan your phone and that will open up an application that will allow you to reply to the questions that we're going to ask you. So if you can do this, scan the QR code, open the app, and you will see the questions that will be asked of you in due course, or that will be asked of you during the course of this conference. So we're going to test. So we're going to test if you're connected. So, for those remote, what are you looking for at this year's Livestock Summit? So, first question. What are you looking for at this year's Livestock Summit? It's a cloud of words. Just give one word that encapsulates what you are looking for at this year's Summit d'Élevage. So go. So we have already a few answers in French. Novelties, pastoralism, cows, conviviality, business, innovation, excellence, organic farming.
L'ambassadrice, mais le président de la race limousine quand même, parce que bon.
Business, novelties, cattle, livestock. We have a whole host of replies, answers. Just one word we're looking for.
Cette solidarité entre nous.
So as you can see, we have a cloud of words. So conviviality seems to take up a major space. Business networks, cows, genetics, innovation, machinery, innovation, technologies, business. So it really is an economic forum, the summit. So thank you very much for this first, keep connected. So we're now going to move on to the first discussion group this year's summit. So please welcome, just come up onto the stage with Jacques, Benoît Delaloy, the summit managing director, and Olivier Lasternas, livestock farmer and president of the Limousin herd book.
Voilà, prenez chacun un micro.
So this first discussion group.
Donc il n'y a rien à faire. Alors, peut-être quand on va regarder l'édition 2026,
Jacques, talking about 2026, are we changing dimension as far as the 2026 show is concerned? Yes, we're going to try and change dimension, but we're going to talk about that later on.
Je parlais de l'année internationale du pastoralisme. Bruno en parlera tout à l'heure.
Bruno will talk about the international angle, and also with this International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists, it's vital for us. It translates into the time of grazing and livestock farming that we carry out in our region, the Massif Central Mountains.
J'aime pas bien en termes ce mot parce que c'est... Bon, mais enfin, on va dire que... Parce qu'on met productif et traditionnel.
The word traditional I don't necessarily like. It seems to be it's not exactly, rather pejorative view of what we do. But it does actually correspond with protecting the environment, maintaining the landscapes open, and also allows us to produce quality. So pastoralism, pasture grazing, is good for environment, and it also allows us to produce top quality product.
Sur l'édition 2026,
so 2026, talk about a few novelties, what's new in this year's show. So Benoît, would you tell us about the novelties this year's show? Hello everybody. So yes, again, thank you for being here. So it's going to be a great edition this year. It's going to be a record year, I can tell you already, in the terms of exhibitors. So we're pushing the boundaries out even further. Machinery especially, we're going to talk about that later. I won't talk about the square meters of stand space, but we have even breached a glass ceiling as far as that is concerned. We are also, as today, we are 688 exhibitors registered for the show. We have another 4 months for exhibitors to register, and so we reckon that we're going to be full to the boards this year as far as exhibitors are concerned. A lot of novelties, yes, exactly. So what shall I start with? So what about machinery? Okay, machinery, exactly. So we succeeded in finding more square meters for machinery, farm machinery. But despite the fact that the Summit d'Élevage is really about livestock, we actually are now the go-to event for farm machinery.
Notre hall des bovins laitiers. Donc là aussi, ça fait partie des nouveautés, avec un nouveau ring
and also for dairy cattle, we've got a new ring, a new hall for the dairy cattle.
Avec une ambiance très très feutrée, vous verrez. Donc voilà, donc avec des présentations laitières encore plus qualitatives.
So the presentation of dairy cattle will be even better than before, because we've got a brand new ring and a brand new hall for the dairy cattle.
Aussi du machinisme agricole, ça c'est nouveau. Donc et là je remercie, je crois,
we'll also have
les acteurs de la filière,
field demonstrations of farm machinery, tractors and farm machinery. And I'd like to thank our partners, as far as that is concerned, who've helped us in that with B2B meetings, and for allowing us to put in place these demonstrations.
Des démonstrations de matériel agricole, de tracteurs et autres engins en champ, en plein champ.
So visitors can actually see
Parking qui est à proximité du parc Expo.
new machinery at work in the fields.
Je ne vais pas les citer tout de suite.
So,
Qui vont profiter donc du
so it will allow the manufacturers
donc ça, c'est
to show off their new products in field. And finally, another novelty, if I can call it that.
commencé à en parler. C'est vrai que tout ce qui
So Jack's already spoken about it.
est quand même un secteur très important.
Talking about health, animal health.
Là aussi, nous avons créé cette année
We've created this year a hub, an animal health hub,
les principaux acteurs de la santé animale d'entre nous,
where we'll find the main
avec une agora là aussi,
actors of animal health, an agora, and various conferences talking about animal health.
Vous parliez de maître, on a poussé les murs.
So we've pushed the walls. You say we pushed the walls. So a question for everybody.
Combien de mètres
You
carrés de stand
at home
cette année?
and here in the cell.
On va passer la
So,
barre de 80 000.
how many square meters of stand space will be occupied at this year's show? 80,000, 100,000, or 150,000? So,
pour le faire.
going through the app, choose the answer that you think is right. 80,000, 100,000, or 150,000 square meters of net stand space.
Allez, je vous laisse encore un petit peu de temps. Bon, peut-être que la réponse est un peu dans la question ou pas, on ne sait pas.
Net stand space at this year's show.
Ça bouge, hein?
So,
Bon, on va
Okay.
stopper là.
Where are we?
Les
So,
votes. Est-ce qu'on peut avoir
your
cette
vote.
réponse alors?
so have the right
on a
answer.
gagné parce qu'en fait, je m'aperçois qu'il n'y a pas le bon chiffre.
So,
C'est pas grave.
it's not.
C'est d'entre les deux. Non,
It's
c'est
not-
plus de 100 000.
it's-
donc 120 000,
it's-
j'espère que ça sera
May would like 120, like it to be 120,000.
99 000.
We're at 99,000.
À date d'aujourd'hui, on a franchi les 101 000.
In fact, no, we are now over 101 square meters of net stand space. 101,000 of net stand space.
Franchi la barre des 100 000.
qu'on
Ça,
peut
c'est un
So we've broken through the glass ceiling of 100,000.
Donc il y a des chances qu'on soit dans un.
So it's quite possible that we might even get to 120,000. So another question.
Sur place,
So there will be
environ 2000
roughly
animaux,
2,000 animals on
ce qui va
site.
représenter, selon vous,
And
combien
according to
de
you,
races?
vote, how many breeds does that represent? 30, 70, or 90? There will be 2,000 animals on site during the show. In your opinion, how many breeds does that represent? 30, 70, or 90? Vote now.
Oui, ça bouge, ça bouge. Je vous laisse encore une seconde pour.
Another couple of seconds to reply.
Alors, Jacques,
So,
peut-être nous donner le
Jack,
Benoît,
give
vous
us the
avez
good
la
answer. Or Benoît,
Eh bien là,
Well-
bravo.
well done.
70 races.
70 breeds.
4 espèces différentes.
Oui.
4 different
Donc, on a-
species,
alors, on a 2000 animaux sur le sommet, 1300 bovins.
1,300 head of cattle from 26 breeds,
Ensuite, on a
Cattle
26
breeds.
races ovines,
26 sheep breeds, 4 goat
et une
breeds,
quinzaine de races équines. Donc,
and 15 horse breeds.
voilà. Donc ça fait au total voilà.
So
70 races,
cattle,
2000 animaux,
sheep,
avec donc bien sûr en vedette cette année le concours national
Goats
Limousin avec 400 effectifs. Donc là c'est
and
un
horses.
record. Et côté bovin-lait, on a le concours alors qui quasi national, en tout cas un grand interrégional de la race jersiaise.
So the Jersey
Et
in
pour les
the
moutons, c'est la race
in the
et l'alpine pour les caprins.
in the milk show, the milk hall, it'll be the Jersey breed will be having their European championships. The sheep will be the Bizet breed, and for the goat breed, the Alpine
L'avenir est dans
will be having their championships.
tout de suite. Voilà cette belle race limousine. On a beaucoup parlé tradition, modernité, innovation. C'est important de reconnecter aujourd'hui le terrain justement avec la
Now talking to Olivier Lasternas, president of the Limousin Herd Book, after that clip on the breed. So the Limousin breed, organizing its championships at this year's show with 400 animals. So we're 1.3 million cows in France. It's a modern breed. It's an animal that we describe in France as being plastic. In other words, you can farm it in different ways. They're either producing young calves off their mother for slaughter or rearing them till 3-4 years old for slaughter. So the Limousin is an animal that adapts well to any type of farming system and any type of environment.
À la recherche des docteurs et 2,5 à la production au service de notre race, donc au service de nos éleveurs.
We have a R&D division at our headquarters just south of Limoges.
Donc c'est un outil qui nous appartient. Et
it's important for us.
On cherche avant tout à répondre.
And we are looking to answer the specific requests of our farmers.
Sur un programme de recherche qui c'est-à-dire c'est la qualité des sabots, puisque
we have just finished research on the quality, hoof quality on the cattle.
Sur les slides tout à l'heure.
We might see later on that the Limousin is present on 5 continents. Types of rearing are very different from one farm to another, and obviously from one continent to another.
Il y a un concours donc qui va être organisé.
And there's also your championships, is that right? So how many cattle will be present? So our national breed championships during the Sommet will be 400 animals. We've pushed our limits, so very kind of the people from the Sommet have allowed us with 400 animals, which represents 150 farms from across France. We've had to refuse another 450 applications for cattle. There will also be extra interest from foreign farmers. The Limousin being an international breed, we're expecting a large number of international Limousin farmers to come to the Sommet. So we were the first breed to hold our championships in 2004. And as far as we're concerned, as well as being the breed, an honor breed this year's show, but for us and for our farmers, it's a showcase, a platform for us to meet other farmers and to show off the best of our genetics. So another clip.
De Limousine.
Mon papy me disait que son travail, c'est de sculpter les paysages avec ses animaux. Et vécu avec eux. Qu'il faut les respecter, les aimer et en être fiers. Et que notre métier, nourrir les hommes, est le plus beau du monde. Je serai grande, comme lui, je serai fière d'être éleveuse.
Voilà, cette fierté évidemment de
Proud to be farmers of Limousin cattle.
C'est-à-dire qu'il y a à la fois ce côté bien sûr local, ancrage dans les territoires, et puis il y a toute cette partie technique, etc., et technologique.
The breed not just
Qu'est-ce que les
greatly attached to its region of origin, the Limousin, but also the technology behind the research and development.
peuvent motiver nos éleveurs à venir sur place?
So what motivates farmers to come to this show?
Il y a beaucoup de choses.
Lots of things. The farmers coming for a lot of reasons. Right.
Pour développer leur exploitation.
Technical replies, technical answers, to be even more
face à tous ces enjeux dont on a parlé, enjeux
profitable on their farms, answers to climate change, organizing their work, what new technologies, new trends. Don't forget we have a program of 160 conferences covering everything from common agricultural policy to genetics. So they come for many reasons, to discuss, meet other farmers, learn from them, swap ideas, perhaps go back to their own farms and implement those practices that they've heard about from elsewhere. It's a very efficient business forum. Many contracts are signed during the show, but it's we come back to the fact it's that convivial ambiance.
Cette réunion, c'est Sommet d'Or, la Grange Innovation et l'espace Startup.
And going back to the technical elements of the Sommet, you've got the Sommet d'Or for new services and products that are beneficial, determined to be the most beneficial to farmers, and the innovation barn with startup zone and projects based on AI, artificial intelligence. So each exhibitor will come to the show to present their new products, their new services.
Donc on essaye d'accompagner ça par différents moyens. Donc vous l'avez dit, les concours, le concours de l'innovation.
You were talking about the innovation competition, the Sommet d'Or. It's open to all exhibitors where they can
son innovation dans différentes catégories.
Apply and their services or products that they've come up with over the last year will be judged, and the winners in each category will be awarded a Sommet d'Or plaque.
Donc c'est très sélectif.
It's a very selective competition.
On a un espace innovation dédié qui s'appelle la Grange Innovation.
As we said, we have a dedicated innovation barn where we have several partners, several startups talking about tomorrow's farming and the technologies that will be used, and of course AI having increasing space.
On a des choses en préparation. Bon, là c'est encore peut-être un petit peu tôt, mais voilà.
We have a few other things as well, but I won't go into those now.
Donc il faudra absolument, évidemment, s'y rendre. On a parlé tout à l'heure de ce pôle santé animale.
So we spoke earlier about the animal health hub. Anything on that? Can you add us? What does it say? What will there be? So we hopefully have been able to pull together a number of important actors in animal health. There will be stands, an agora, conferences. And this year, we're also sharing the animal health hub with two other species, pigs and poultry. And poultry taking up an increasing sector in the Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region. And you're finding a lot of farmers adding a free-range poultry activity to their suckler cow or sheep activity.
Olivier, peut-être en complément, sur quoi vous travaillez en fait, sur simplifier le quotidien?
Olivier, what are you working on as far as helping solutions for farmers? So, yes, we're looking to reduce the physical strain on farmers, improving the herd management. We're working also on collars for AI information when cows are bulling, and the applications that we have will let us know on a smartphone when a certain cow is bulling.
Ce qu'on appelle nous les IPE, insémination par l'éleveur, de travailler vraiment avec un confort optimal
and also for when farmers themselves carry out their own insemination, which is permitted in France, perhaps something that doesn't occur in your own countries, but it is permitted in France. Farmers have to pass an exam, a practical exam, to be able to inseminate their own cattle, but once they have, they're free to do so.
Les vaches aussi, là, seront équipées de détecteurs et quand elles s'approcheront de la limite, voilà, elles auront une décharge, alors décharge c'est un grand mot, mais électrique, une pulsion, un avertissement. C'est des nouveautés qui feront que demain nos éleveurs...
Various new technologies that informing farmers what their cattle are doing, what they're up to, when they're bulling, when they're ready to be inseminated. And what does this mean? Well, it means that the new generation that's coming into farming, it's a lot easier for them. It's not what it was 50 years ago, where it was heavy, hard work from often 6, 5 o'clock in the morning until 10, 11 at night. The new younger generation, they need a bit of time, they need a bit of space for themselves, and also they're connected. So they're obviously more connected to their smartphones, which obviously didn't exist in our time. But they are, and therefore we have to find solutions that for them and reasons that will attract them to the livestock industry.
Et donc, c'est d'autant plus important pour les gens qui sont en reconversion de mettre en place ce qui peut simplifier et améliorer la qualité de vie aussi.
So, quality of life, talking about farmers' quality of life, important.
Dimension internationale.
So, moving on to the international element. So, another question for you both remote and also here in the salle. How many visitors, in terms of numbers, are expected at this year's show? How many visitors, in your opinion, in terms of numbers, are expected at this year's show? I'll just say that's in several thousands. We have a few 120,000, 100,000, 125,000.
Il semblerait que le 120 000 soit, c'est bien, ça veut dire que vous auriez bien...
See, the majority are going for 120,000, so maybe we've actually released that information a little bit earlier, but maybe you at home and here in the Ministry of Agriculture, maybe you listen to me, yes. So we're expecting 120,000, which was our 2024 record. So we're expecting to do that at least, if not more, and if possible, from over 100 different countries. So we're looking to beat the 120,000.
Là aussi, donc, nous étions à 104 pays.
Last year we were 104 countries. So we've broken through the glass ceiling of 100. We're always hoping to do a little bit more.
Qu'est-ce qui fait qu'on a autant de délégations
Why is it that there's so many foreign delegations come to the show? Something quite unique. So what is it you do here at the show? Exactly. Well, exactly. We do something unique. There are more and more delegations. They don't just come on their own. It's a lot of work, a lot of hard work with our partners and agents in the countries throughout the world who promote our event. Business France as well, which is a trade show, promotional activity. And the delegations come, as always, so they come looking for things that they perhaps don't have in their own country, such as our genetics. Mainly suckler cows, and again this year with the Limousin, because the Limousin is an animal found in over 80 countries, but again also Chazalet, Auvergne and Salaire, but the Limousin is perhaps even more international than those other breeds. So it's really sort of the World Cup, really. It's the World Cup to have their national championships during the Sommet d'élevage.
Voilà, venir au sommet assister au concours de Limousin, c'est très important, voir voilà, les dernières lignées génétiques, les derniers.
So people want to come and see what the new genetics are, what the new lines are, the new orientations. So they're looking to see what the farmers are doing and why they're putting their cows to certain bulls, what they're looking for, breeding into their livestock. We have people obviously from Africa, genetics, looking for genetics, but it's a real supermarket for them. It's a real supermarket. They come looking not just for the genetics, but for a whole host of reasons. We're going to talk very soon about the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. So which countries are going to be for that? Yes, it is that International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. So we decided this year not to have it in one country, but we decided to invite several countries, several guests from different continents to illustrate pastoralism in their own country, in their own continent. So obviously we've invited Mongolia. So again, I'd like to thank the ambassador here, President, because the Mongolia has been the driver of the UN's 2026 Rangelands and Pastoralist Year. Spain, Colombia, and a representative of Colombia here, and from Africa, Ivory Coast, and the Sudan. So Europe, South America, Asia, Africa. You asked me earlier about what's specific about the Sommet. Well, of course, it's the farm visits, and a unique program of 30 farm visits during the show. 35 farm shows open to foreign visitors every morning, every afternoon. There'll be interpreters who will be going with them on the bus to visit the farms, not just farms as well, but also research centers, abattoirs. So there's already a lot of things to see at the Sommet itself, at the showground, but they can even go and visit even more outside the showground itself, on farms, and actually see what's happening live on farms. So word of mouth is a big driver, and it's an important reason why so many foreign visitors come. Olivier, you want to add something? So I just want to again thank the Mongolia ambassador, because for us, Mongolia represents the #1 exports of Limousin heifers exported via aeroplane to Mongolia. So it's that international dimension that we, the farmers, we're looking for. So economic dimension, innovation dimension, technical dimension, and international dimension. And don't forget the conviviality.
On peut en parler peut-être de ça?
Oui, mais
can we talk about that, Jacques?
Vous avez vu dans le montage, on a eu la visite
you saw the film. In 2024, we had the visitor, the Prime Minister. It's also a trade show. It's also a political show, and it's also a business show, but it also has to be profitable too. So everybody who comes needs to have and find what they're looking for. So the young farmers, they're coming to be inspired, perhaps find new careers, a source of pride if they're accompanying their parents to show off their cattle. And Thursday evening, young farmers event. They're having a hop on the Thursday, dance, and into the early hours of Friday morning.
Bien sûr, pour la transmission. Une sorte de communauté.
It's important for the new generational renewal.
Digitale du sommet.
And so we're now going to talk to Clément Fonty, who is manager of the digital communications at the summit. So we're going to talk about the Comptoir des éleveurs. I won't translate it because it doesn't work out. It's basically a supermarket for farmers, livestock farmers, a forum to find machinery, find material, services, and also to exchange ideas. So what's new about the Comptoir des Éleveurs this year? So it's the Sommet d'Élevage, 365 days, 24/7. It's throughout the year. To share experiences, to share content, testimonials, linking networks of farmers, and allowing French and international agro-influencers to use the platform to talk about what they're influencing. But we wanted to extend the conviviality of the Sommet throughout the year. Could be videos, articles, podcasts, everything that the farmer needs today, where he or she can find solutions to allow them to better manage their daily lives and also to feel part of a community.
Le Visitorat répond aussi présent à l'année puisque à date on atteint pas loin de 90 000 abonnés en cumulé sur.
We are roughly 90,000 followers across a number of social networks.
On l'a lancé en 2023.
So we created it only in 2023 and already at 90,000 followers of a number of social networks. So farmers, it's interactive. It's the social network, exactly.
Sur les réseaux du comptoir et
so you can at any time, at any point, you can react and provide your own feedback. Because it's important, this idea of feeling part of a community. Do farmers still, in your opinion, feel a little bit on their own, a bit isolated? Yes, but there is this need, yes, exactly, of being connected, to feel part of a community, to learn what another type of farm, another farmer, or in another part of the world or another part of France is doing. So, especially the young farmers. So, yes, for them it's natural. In the way that it was natural to get into a tractor and stop the engine and drive off. So, how can the visitors best use the 4 days of the show? So we have two television sets, YouTube and their own, 3 recording studios, 1 for podcasts and 2 for videos. So we'll be producing roughly 2/3 of our content that will be broadcast through the year.
Les contenus se font concurrence pendant 4 jours au sommet parce que voilà, il y a beaucoup de postes qui se
So there's a lot of demand because during the 4 shows, only 4 days of the show, people have to record their contests. There's obviously a lot of demand. Anything you want to add, Clément? No, I think we've covered more or less everything. So thank you very much. So we'll find ourselves again on the web. So we've got to the end of this first discussion group. Does anybody want to add anything? Any infos, any key infos about this year's show? 120,000 visitors, of which 6,000 international, 1,800 exhibitors, of which 330 international, 2,000 livestock.
Juif, grec, hébreu, enfin. Donc saluer le travail qu'ont fait les jeunes.
So yes, I would just like to obviously thank the work that Clément and Victor are doing, the young members of our organization, to make our show more attractive to the young farmers and future long farmers, but also the economic role of the system. As obviously you have exhibitors, with exhibitors you have a certain number of actors who obviously finance our show. So a show needs exhibitors. Without the exhibitors, it doesn't have its business. It doesn't have its funding, and it doesn't have the visitors. Olivier, just want to add 2 words. We spoke about numbers, about the number of cattle 400 cattle are on for show during the Limousin National Championships. So we've had already 800 applications for cattle to be judged during our championships. So we've had to, unfortunately, or will be, carrying out a selection basis, selecting the top 400, the cream of the crop.
En matière raciale. Alors aujourd'hui, c'est la race limousine, mais bon, c'est pour toutes les races pareilles. Donc c'est vraiment le grand rendez-vous.
So it is the big annual gathering for our breed this year and for other breeds in other years. So thank you. So thank you very much. We're now going to move on to the second discussion group. So as we said earlier, this year is the national highlight of the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists, as proclaimed by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. So we're going to show perhaps a clip, not just yet. So pastoralism was sometimes viewed as an ancient, almost marginal practice. Today, that's not the case. The United Nations has made it a global issue, and this simple shift in perspective says a great deal about today's agricultural and climate challenges. As you know, the FAO is a specialized agency of the United Nations leading international efforts to eradicate hunger, and promoting pastoralism is one of the key levers for this. So we're now going to watch a short clip.
Le temps de faire le passage.
Across wide skies and open lands, pastoralists work with caring hands, their herds moving, their wisdom deep. Sustaining life, the rangelands keep. These lands, half Earth's face they span. Feeding communities, hand in hand. They power economies, nurture the soil, and weave resilience through their toil. We help them grow, support draws near. Their voices honored, their skills clear. With local and indigenous knowledge, and evidence too. They shape solutions that work and renew. With innovation lighting the way, youth and women lead today. Markets open, futures grow, rangelands thrive, where herders go. Lands of life, and lives that flow, where people know where to go. Lands in motion, stewards wise and true, of hope, of care, and all they do.
So a short clip from the FAO. So we're now going to receive on video link Gregorio Velasco Gil, who is the coordinator of the Knowledge Hub at Pastoralism and the secretary of the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. So thank you very much, Gregorio, for being with us. Hello. Hello and welcome. Thank you very much for welcoming me to your press conference.
Si jamais on ne vous entend pas, on ne peut rien y faire. Ils sont en train de faire des travaux sur la façade de l'immeuble. J'aimerais que vous abordiez peut-être.
I'd like you to tell us why about pastoralism.
Pour lutter contre la faim.
Why is it one of the levers to stop hunger?
m'intéresser à M. Chazalet, président de la SOMMET de l'élevage.
I'd just like to thank Jacques Chazalet, President of the Livestock Summit, the SOMMET d'élevage, and also Madame ULAMBAYAR, Ambassador of Mongolia to France. And everybody, obviously it's a great honor for me to take part in this press conference for the SOMMET. The FAO would like to thank the organizers of this event for recognizing the importance of the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists and for deciding to highlight pastoralism during the show from 6 to 9 October 2026 in Clermont-Ferrand.
au cours de l'édition qui se tiendra du 6 au 9 octobre 2026 à Clermont-Ferrand.
Très bien.
These discussions could not come at a more opportune moment. Pastoralism occupies over 50% of the landmass. They encompass an incredible diversity of landscapes and ecosystems and provide a livelihood for hundreds of millions of people. Despite these impressive figures, grassland remains one of the least valued and least considered ecosystems in public policy, as well as in climate and environmental agreements. For generations, pastoral systems based on the use of natural vegetation and mobility to feed herds have shaped these landscapes, which are found in 75% of the world's countries, from the vast Mongolian steppes to the Saharan savannas, from the European mountains, the Latin American pampas, the Great Plains of North America, to name but a few.
En ce sens, le pastoralisme est un modèle de coexistence entre l'agriculture et la nature exemplaire. La mobilité des troupeaux qui permettent à la nature de se régénérer.
In France, pastoralism is a feature of the major mountain ranges, but also of the coastal marshes, which are not only areas of production, but also important reservoirs of biodiversity. In this sense, pastoralism is an exemplary model of coexistence between agriculture and nature. The movement of herds, which allows nature to regenerate and ensures that the herds always have access to the best forage, is meticulously orchestrated by the herders, thanks to their knowledge accumulated over generations and their keen observation of the environment. Livestock farmers and pastoralist herders make use of areas where other forms of agriculture are difficult or even impossible. Pastoralism transforms wild vegetation that is inedible to humans into high-quality animal products, while using little or no inputs or fossil fuels, and respecting the animal's natural behavior and welfare. Pastoral products are often recognized for their nutritional quality and uniqueness and benefit from protected designations such as the famous Sisteron lamb, Peladon cheese, or the Corsican Brocciu sheep's cheese. In a world seeking solutions to climate change, a drop in biodiversity and soil degradation, pastoralism is therefore not part of the problem, it is part of the solution. And yet, all over the world, pastoral systems are under pressure. Pastoral mobility, often misunderstood by systems that favour sedentary lifestyles and centralisation, is being called into question, restricted and sometimes even blocked, even though it is the foundation of these pastoral systems' resilience. Everywhere, pastures are increasingly subject to fragmentation, to conversion, competing land uses and the exclusion of herders. Young herders and shepherds are increasingly reluctant to take up these activities, and generation renewal is becoming a cause for concern, threatening even the very future of these systems. If the younger generation decides not to continue these practices, we will not only lose productive systems, but also valuable know-how, the loss of which would be incalculable. As the Pastoral Youth Group clearly stated at their meeting held in Madrid in April, young herders and shepherds, including women herders and shepherdesses, there's a need for fair economic prospects, recognition of their products and services, and social recognition of their profession, combating negative perceptions of the profession to strengthen support from citizens, consumers and institutions, and to encourage newcomers to take up this activity has become the priority. And so we hope that the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists will mark a decisive turning point in this regard. The FAO is honoured to coordinate this year through the work of its Secretariat and its International Steering Committee chaired by Mongolia, Uruguay and the World Reindeer Herders Association, in partnership with numerous governments, pastoral organizations, civil society, research institutions, and international partners. We can also count on the support of the Global Alliance for Pastures and Pastoral Herders, which now brings together more than 400 organizations in support of the International Year. We are aware of the challenges and expectations and take this responsibility very seriously. The main objective is clear: to raise public awareness of the importance and role played by pastoral lands and pastoralists, and to ensure that the International Year leads to positive changes well beyond 2026 through policies, investment and concrete actions that provide pastoralists with the means to continue this activity, which is essential for our society, our territories and our economies. This year is an opportunity to listen to pastoralists and herders and to identify what works and what does not work. What we need today are policies that reward the many environmental and social benefits of pastoralism, greater involvement and consultation with pastoralists and shepherds, and particularly the safeguarding of access to resources. The French pastoral law and the associated pastoral services, which structure communities and secure access to pastoral land, is unique and serves as an excellent example in this regard, although it must adapt and evolve in light of new challenges, such as predation, conflicts over land use in pastoral areas, health issues, and climate change. The recognition of transhumance as an intelligible cultural heritage by France and by 9 other European countries, with more to follow, also constitutes a significant acknowledgement that could serve as an inspiration for other nations. Finally, the organizations responsible for selecting local breeds centered around Coram in France are essential tools for the preservation and promotion of local breeds, which form the foundation of pastoral systems. One of the priorities of this year is to identify challenges and solutions to scale them up. And the SOMMET d'élevage, which is a key forum for exchange and the promotion of international expertise on agricultural and livestock issues, is an ideal platform to fulfill this mandate. The FAO stands shoulder to shoulder with the SOMMET and all other partners to ensure that this International Year proves to be a turning point and results in the concrete actions that pastoralists and their livestock need. Thank you very much.
De ce que vous voulez dire juste avant de vous libérer, j'ai noté que le pastoralisme faisait partie de la solution.
Pastoralism is part of the solution. It's not the problem, it's the solution, but it's under pressure. To reply to the expectations of modern society and also to reply to climate change. So, looking to target politicians and also the general public and also the younger generations. Would you reckon that that's right? Yes. We're looking to target politicians, inform the general public, and to attract new farmers into the industry. So, thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much. We'll free you up. Have a great day. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Merci pour votre présence. Et je vous propose tout de suite, justement, puisque la Mongolie...
So, I will now, as Mongolia was the driver of the International Year of this rangelands and pastoralists, we're going to invite Madame ULAMBAYAR, Mongolia's ambassador to France, to come and share her vision and her experience.
Sous vos applaudissements, bien sûr.
And for those who might well remember, Mongolia was the guest of the 2023 Sommet d'élevage. So we have a small slide, number of slides before a discussion group. So first of all, thank you very much. Welcome and thank you very much. My dear friend Jacques, thank you very much for this invitation, and we're obviously very honored, Mongolia, to be here with you for this 35th edition of the Sommet d'élevage, so thank you. So, moving on.
Je vais peut-être passer très rapidement.
So just go on fairly quickly. There's a certain scientific negligence as far as pastoralism is concerned. Almost 71 million articles, academic articles and research information has been published on Scopus. What is Scopus? Scopus is a search engine for academic articles and research information. And according to Scopus, 71 million academic articles have been published in relation to farming and other things, of which 96,000 talk about extensive grazing and pastoralism, and yet only 2,000, less than 0.1%, talk about extensive pasturing, extensive grazing, and pastoralism. So for us, it's not sufficiently recognized and neglected, we should say. Moving on to the next slide, a few definitions that will sound to those listening to me today in their own countries. What is a pastoralist in your own country? I won't need to go through them, but I'll just ring off a few: wrangler, cowhand, herder, bedouin, cattleman, cowboy, rancher, shepherd, stockman, herder, cowgirl, granger, nomad, jackaroo, herdsman, stockwoman, cowpoke. I haven't heard of that for a long time. And as far as other words for rangelands and rangelands, parkland, bushland, pasture, alpine pasture, outback, range, taiga, native prairie, tundra, grazing land, savanna, chaparral, arid lands, grassland, pasture, prairie, ranchland, shrubland. Now moving on to the next slide. This is the action that we undertook, Mongolia undertook, for this recognition for this year of rangelands and pastoralists. So we started in 2019 with some national groups, support groups, including 8 groups, regional groups, helping the population across the geographic spread across the world. So that we put in place in 2019. In 2020, we then, the initiative was envisaged with this international year, including 58 governments and 300 organizations supporting the initiative. In 2021, during the 42nd session of the FAO conference, the idea of the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists on 2026 was adopted and approved, and it was declared in 2022. So you can now see on the 5th slide the international movement for this international year and how we went about it.
Mettre en valeur avec ce COP17 sur la désertification.
So COP17 underlined that. This will underline it. COP17 in Ulaanbaatar 2026.
Donc il y a le site web en ligne qui
so we have a website that informs everybody of our initiatives, what we're doing to promote this year.
Je remercie à cette occasion aussi la France.
And I'd like to thank France,
qui est un pays d'élevage avec
obviously as a livestock country with whom we share a lot of common values. And France has initiated a number of events in support of this year's action, including the Sommet d'Élevage, with this 35th edition. We're obviously delighted to help you and to support you during your show to promote this international year.
mondiaux. Il y aura une rencontre importante des pasteurs, des éleveurs.
Moving on to the next slide, éleveurs dans le monde, so livestock farmers throughout the world, as you can see. You can see the concentrations of livestock farmers throughout the world. Over 500 million livestock farmers and herders, of which farmers and breeders, rangers and herders. And as you can see on this slide, grazing land occupies 54% of the land mass, 79 million square kilometers. 7 types of pasture: deserts, arid, tropical, subtropical, tundra, temperate pasture, mountainous, and seashore grassland, Mediterranean forests, scrubland and savannas, wetlands and savannas. And as far as grazing in Mongolia, we are 112 million hectares in 2025, covering 0.7% of the world's landmass.
Donc ça c'est un premier message de reconnaître la contribution des éleveurs et des éleveuses.
So the contribution is something we need to. It's not just farmers, not male farmers, also female farmers. So
de la visibilité scientifique dont je parlais au début.
Talking about the scientific research and the publications in the Scopus, we want to correct this negligence, scientific negligence. Pastoralism is underrepresented, and this is something we want to overcome. One of the initiatives we want to overcome, one of the initiatives of this year is to correct that, so that pastoralism actually becomes a key element of climate change. Also political and investment too. Something that we're looking to do with farmers, not for farmers, but with them. They need to be the drivers. They need to be telling us what they require, and we need to be implementing their requirements, if at all possible, of course.
L'association des éleveurs de rennes et d'autres partenaires gouvernements,
and with other quangos, we've been able to help us and have supported us in this in driving this year's International Year.
Des déclarations, des volontés politiques. Issu de ce COP17, de cette rencontre,
COP17 is important. It's important for our farmers in Mongolia.
De cette année, mais au-delà, dans les années à venir, dans les décennies à venir.
It's something that we're looking to drive not just for 2026, but for the years to come, for the decade to come. So the governments are representative at South Africa, Kenya, Mongolia, Sri Lanka, Spain, Ireland, Uruguay, Canada, Jordan, Australia, and New Zealand. So first of all, thank you very much for that first presentation. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough.
Non contagieuse, mais qui risque de m'empêcher à un moment d'avance. Pour parler justement, compléter vos propos, Madame l'ambassadrice, merci d'accueillir Bruno Dufayet,
So we're now going to represent, we're now going to welcome Bruno Dufayet, livestock farmer and president of APRAMAC, and Philippe Cahn, vice president of the Aura Pastoral Network.
Merci d'être avec nous.
So, thank you for being with us.
Peut-être une première question pour Bruno.
So, a first question for Bruno.
De changer évidemment sur le pastoralisme. Quel est votre regard, vous, en tout cas,
pastoralism has often been seen as a thing of the past. Is that the view today? So, first of all, hello, and I'd just like to say that first of all, I'm a farmer. I farm in the Cantal in the Massif Central. It's very extensive. At last is a recognition of our farming systems farming models that has suffered in the past because of a lack of recognition. And perhaps today, perhaps because of this and due to this International Year, its real values are being at last recognized. And as Monsieur Delasco said earlier, livestock farming, extensive livestock farming is a source of solutions.
Ce modèle d'élevage est toujours associé à des produits de qualité. C'est un élevage qui est productif.
It's a type of farming that's productive, a type of farming that produces quality meat and products, and it's also something that supports the local economy and also maintains the biodiversity and the landscape. It also replies to climate challenges we face, for example, fire prevention.
Et puis une forme de reconnaissance finalement de.
So it is a type of recognition that perhaps prior generation didn't benefit from. So if I can just say with my hat on as both farmer and also part of the SOMMET d'élevage, it's an approach to sustainable livestock farming in its broadest sense, and recognized long ago the interest that pastoral interests have in the SOMMET.
Et ça nous voilà, voilà, on est dans la bonne ligne et ça nous conforte.
So for us, we're in the right direction, and it's this year that's going to support the sustainable and economic type of livestock farming that we carry out. So Philippe said Bruno's already said quite a lot. So first of all, thank you, Mongolia, for initiating this year. And also thank you, the SOMMET, to allow us this platform as a main platform for this year. It allows us to focus on pastoral farming, grass-grassland farming. Pastoralism, for me, it's a common good. Maybe the farmers themselves don't realize that, but its benefits are often overlooked. It really is, for me, a common good. It may well be traditional practices, but it's traditional practices that have been modernized, that have their place in today's society. Not necessarily for the people, convincing people here today, but it is opening people's eyes, the people who don't understand what farming and livestock farming on extensive systems is all about. And Jacques said earlier, and the representative of the FAO, he said, Monsieur Delasco, he spoke about pastoralism, about biodiversity, talk about landscapes. And if there wasn't pastoralism, would our landscapes look and be as well maintained as they are? Doubtful. It's also resilience to climate change. We're adapting to climate change. It's also resilience to it's a future. It's not something. Yes, it is traditional. It's a traditional way of farming. It's also the future. And this is something that we need to promote. We need to talk about. We need to drive home. And in the mountainscapes, it's also preventing avalanches. It's also preventing fires with fire breaks, and also with cattle and sheep and goats grazing in areas that machinery can't get to reduce scrub, because it's often fires start often in scrubland. It's the human presence in the regions. And so the SOMMET highlights all of those factors. So it's 3 years that we've been driving pastoralism at the SOMMET. And so this 2026, it is going to be the real highlight of it, putting the accent on all these benefits. So if we can defend pastoralism in our region, it is also it's also thanks to the support of the region. It's also the support of the Massif Central that allow us to continue and promote our pastoralism. So, Your Excellency, what is your view of pastoralism, but throughout the world? Yes, of course. So, this initiative
était soutenu et parrainé par un grand nombre de pays, 102 pays. Donc
so 102 countries will be coming to the COP17, so represents the importance of pastoralism as seen throughout the world. We're also representative of UNESCO. So 10 countries, including France, Italy, Spain, Austria, Andorra, registered with the recognized transhumance. Transhumance, for those who don't know, is where livestock herds or flocks are taken up into the mountain pastures, alpine pastures during the summer months. And if they're milking cattle, for example, they're milked up with a bale up on the mountain pastures, and then they're brought down as the weather changes in the autumn, early winter, and brought back down to the lowland pastures. And this is admittedly a traditional way of farming, but the advantages of that are that, once again, it allows livestock to do and perform duties that machinery can't do in areas that are off grounds, out of bounds to machinery. Tractors can't get to, high up in the mountains, on steep slopes. The scrub land and the rough grazing is eaten down.
Vous savez, dans le passé, avant 1990, quand la Mongolie était un pays, toute économie était publique, tout entrepreneuriat était public, donc les animaux, le cheptel appartenaient toujours à l'État. C'est aussi encore aujourd'hui, même si c'est possédé par les
1990 in Mongolia, herds and flocks belonged to the state, and they were farmed by the farmers. But the cattle and the livestock, sheep, camels, etc., belong to the state. But since 1990, that has now been released. Herds and flocks have been released from state ownership, and now farmers own them privately or through their businesses, and this has increased the drive for livestock and the increase in information that we are looking for by coming to the show at Clermont-Ferrand. So farmers, owners of their own herds and flocks, and obviously has allowed them to increase their herd and flock numbers. And they're more entrepreneurs than obviously they were. They obviously have responsibility for the health of their livestock, vaccinations and everything, the grazing. So we've had to move on, step up. We've had to adopt new practices with the ownership of the herds and the flocks since 1990. So, sorry for my voice. So we're talking about responsibility, liberty, entrepreneurship. So again, in the Massif Central, production is obviously the main driver, but it's also a challenge of landscapes. So how's that happen in the Massif Central, Bruno? Yes, it's obviously is a challenge, but with humility, modesty. But I would just like to say that grassland, the Massif Central is the largest grassland area in Europe, and pastoralism forms the very foundation of our region and is an integral part of its identity and, dare I say, its economy. So foundations, it's like a house. You need to maintain it. You have to respect them. And we are not sheltered. It's obviously a lot of challenges, a lot of demand for our land, for other uses. It's a major challenge for us.
Sur ces territoires herbagés dans le monde et notamment chez nous.
To face up to the demand for our land, for other uses.
Je disais tout à l'heure qu'on le ressentait comme enfin un ouf de soulagement.
There's also the economic activities, the human presence, maintaining a landscape, and obviously maintaining the skills.
Il va vers l'avenir, il regarde vers l'avenir et il nécessite justement, il doit aussi éveiller les consciences sur cette nécessité de continuer.
So the young farmer.
On va se répéter, mais je crois
that we repeat ourselves, but it's the use of our landscape. It's the quality of the products that we're producing. It's human presence on the land. And as said, the representative of the FAO, it's the know-how, this rich know-how that we have and that we pass on from one generation to the next. So yes.
Et ça a été aussi dit par la FAO. Donc,
has also been sent, Monsieur Delasco. It's also, unfortunately, it's also the farming model that's received the least support, political support. And let's hope that in 2026, that this year will also enable our politicians, our leaders, to understand what pastoral farming is about and that it needs support.
On arrive à un moment clé qui s'appelle une réforme de la PAC.
But we arrive at a key point of common agricultural policy reform.
Nos élevages français. Il y a aussi tous ces enjeux-là qui sont.
There are a lot of challenges facing farming.
Qui continueront d'exister et de vivre si on est capable d'y associer une politique agricole qui vient les soutenir.
It needs an agricultural policy to support our farmers.
Un peu moins soutenir les territoires herbagés, les territoires de montagne au profit d'autres secteurs. Je pense que ce serait une erreur stratégique énorme.
And I think it would be a strategic error not to support farmers in extensive grassland
de vous laisser
systems.
la parole, Madame l'ambassadrice, justement sur cet aspect politique, je voudrais qu'on revienne.
Before we talk about the political aspect, so what new in terms of pastoralism is there going to be at this year's show? So yes, this year 300 square meters of space dedicated to pastoralism. Shared with the host countries. I've already mentioned Mongolia and others, Sudan, Ivory Coast, but also with the CIRAD, the Agricultural Research Center for International Development. But also in this 300 square meters, there'll be something rather innovative, something never seen before. Is a global view, a resume of farming, pastoral farming throughout the world. A world tour, a series of videos, 360-degree video, reality. You'll be able to an immersive ability to understand what goes on in several countries, Mongolia, France, and Senegal, Chad, and Argentine. So using these virtual reality headsets, you will be able to see what goes on in these 5 countries. Also, innovation, we talked earlier. We also have a prototype, a herder's hut, It's been put together by a business in the Cantal. It will be put up, it'll be assembled in that 300 square meters of space. It's a herder's hut to show how a herder would live during the summer months up in the mountain alpine pastures. And that cabin, that hut, will then be taken down after the summit and will then be reassembled elsewhere where it will have a tangible use. So also on the Tuesday afternoon, there are a number of conferences, including one in a 600-seat hall at the Sommet. What solutions does pastoral farming provide as replies to the challenges of climate change, generational renewal, and societal shifts? So we want to make pastoralism tangible, something alive, and something to focus on for the future, but not just in France, but also internationally.
En écho à ce que disait Gregorio Velasco.
So what Gregorio Velasco Gil said earlier, as far as pastoralism is under threat, when I say tomorrow, I mean in the future, medium term, will there always be farmers, men and women farmers, to continue this type of farming? Well, I'm an optimist, so in my opinion, yes. So the way that Bruno spoke to us, it's a passionate way of life. It's not just a job, it's a way of life. Of course, there are challenges, there are also difficulties. It's not just easy. We talk about predation and various other things. There are various issues and challenges that the farmer has to overcome. But it's a passion, and you can see that, you can understand that. And that's something that will live. It will live on. It will pass from one generation to the next. And it's vital for our rural areas. Without the livestock, maintaining our rural areas would not be the same. And whether we talk about wolves, for example, in the Alps or in the Pyrenees, but also I believe that there are now wolves in the Massif Central. And I believe one farmer here, his flock were attacked recently by a wolf. But that's something we have to face up to. So, cohabitation, farmers and predators. Yes, of course, and not just predators, but also other users. For example, the public, the general public, that allow them to just come and walk or walk themselves or their dogs, their animals, on farmers' land. It can be a problem. They often forget to close gates, which people listening to me might well understand in their own country. But they forget that they're on often private land. Yes, the countryside is also a source of tourism. And of course, we accept the fact that people will want to come and walk across the land. But they also have to respect our job. They have to respect our way of life. And we ask them, obviously, not to walk through our cattle, through our sheep, to walk around them, to close gates, to respect the crops that are growing and not just to trample them. So it's all vital. It's the communication. We need to be proactive in the communication with the general public. We're not trying to stop them, but we're trying to educate them. So it's visible, it's educational, political, institutional, and to show off our job and to tell people what our job, what our way of life involves.
C'est un élevage qui peut être plus qu'utile. Est-ce que au niveau de la Mongolie, Madame,
so as far as Mongolia is concerned, is there this willingness, this determination to to attract and support the younger generation. Yes, it's obviously economically and politically. Our farmers are obviously a vast number of our electorate. So obviously for the elections, it's important that we satisfy and listen to our livestock farmers.
Pour les éleveurs. Donc, la campagne électorale va jouer beaucoup auprès des éleveurs.
So I often meet up with livestock farmers. It's important.
Des éleveurs. Et donc après aussi pour pouvoir mener les grands projets.
So we need to talk about the projects, infrastructural projects that we have in our country. So I even though I'm the ambassador here in France, and when I'm back in my own country, I do go out to meet our farmers. What can we do to develop and optimize our countryside? And what can we do for our farmers in their own community? And so their role is important, and livestock farming is important in the decision-making and the impact, whether that's favorable or unfavorable, as far as our country's economy is concerned. Livestock farming is a vital part of our DNA. And its expression in Mongol.
Si les Mongols protègent bien la langue mongole, la langue maternelle mongole.
If the Mongol looks after the patrie, the country, and the livestock farmers. It's difficult to translate because it's in Mongol, but Mongol is rich, is sovereign, if it protects these three elements, its frontiers, its herd, and its countryside. So thank you very much. So,
évidemment plein d'événements, mais notamment
and also there were a lot of events at this year's show, but also outside this year's Sommet, there's also an element called pasture. So, Bruno, tell us about that, please. Yes. Yes, it's important. It's to raise awareness. And outside the Sommet, there will be in the middle of the Place Jaune, as you can see on the screen, it's a big square in the middle of Clermont-Ferrand. Clermont-Ferrand, obviously, as you know, a major town in the middle of France. But in the middle of this Place Jaune, which is the biggest square, a vibrant square, it will be converted into a farmland. It'll be transformed into representative, as you can see, of the typical grassland farm in our region, as you can see from the slide. You can see what it will look like with woodland, with scrubland, with watercourses. So this is an enormous project, and this is again, this is our way of raising awareness. It's also, but farming is not just the landscape; it's also the rural economy. As you can see, it is really for the general public, for them to understand what we do, what we're all about. There are a lot of messages passed, a lot of information passed on to the general public. A modern way of showing what pastoralism is all about. We will have members of the research sector. Philippe will be there. Other people, other representatives of pastoral farming will be there. to talk, to discuss, to listen to what the general public think about farming, what their impressions of farming are, and perhaps to correct those misunderstandings if there are any. So discussion, meeting, going out to, educating, listening. So this will go on during the 4 days of the show. Just to remind you, from the 6th to the 9th of October, 2026.
Pour porter les couleurs du pastoralisme et de l'élevage herbager. Voilà.
À chacun sa coupe.
So
à chacun sa coupe ou son...
Everyone has their World Cup. So,
pas le blason, mais quand il se passe des belles choses en rugby sur votre place jaune,
so
le lever de bouclier.
Sometimes, if Clermont-Ferrand can lift the national championships, rugby championships, then maybe we can create an equivalent for pastoralism. So this year, our World Cup. So perhaps to highlight the 37,600 pastoral grassland farms in the Massif Central. So thank you, 3 of you. Thank you very much. I will now looking to welcome the ambassador Uzbekistan, who is here. Thank you. So we're now going to move on to the third discussion group. We're now going to talk about women. Why? Because this year, it's also the International Year of Women Farmers. And during the Sommet, there will be a discussion group on talking about women and their place in farming. And so we're looking to understanding how women are changing the agricultural sector. So please welcome Michel Benoît, who is a farmer and president of the French National Sheep Federation, and also Rick Benoît, who is Danish origin, who is a Limousin cow farmer and president of the Limousin cattle farmers in the Indre department of France. So, this is good, changes a little bit. So, Michel, we'll start with you, if that's possible. You set up on your farm in the 90s, isn't that right? Perhaps being a female farmer wasn't exactly a given. Did you feel at that time that you were entering a very male-dominated world? Well, I'll be clear about that. I'm a bit of an extraterrestrial. I come from outside farming. Neither of my parents were farmers. So I was an unidentified flying object. I had to create everything from scratch. So I started with 50,000 francs. In sterling, if I put it that way, it's roughly about £5,000, 50 sheep and 5 hectares. Everything seemed to be 5, so I'll repeat that again. She started in the 90s with 50,000 francs, the equivalent of £5,000 sterling. 50 sheep and 5 hectares. And very quickly I joined the young farmers of the Puy de Dôme, where I met Jacques Chazalet, who, as you now know, is president of the Sommet d'Élevage. And I became an integral part of the sheep farmers group. And they let me join them, not because I was a woman, because they saw first and foremost that I was a farmer, because they felt that I had skills that enabled me to represent them. And at that time, so there was a drop-off in the 90s of people willing to represent the sector. And so I just was able to slot into that need. So it wasn't necessarily difficult for me. I didn't have to fight to be recognized. I always felt that among sheep farmers, I was very much part and parcel of them. As I said, seen first and foremost as a farmer. And they didn't give me the role as a farmer, as a woman. But even though we're talking about women farmers, it's not just in sheep, though there are also other sectors of the livestock industry, as we will be talking to Rick in a few moments, who's a cattle farmer. But I was seen as a pair, and not just for the sheep sector, but for all livestock sectors. And the route I was able to trace to finally to become president of the National Federation of Sheep Farmers, which I am today.
Chez les bovins, où si vous avez 75 vaches, qui correspond à 500 brebis,
so if you had try and
les périodes d'agnelage, c'est toujours souvent les femmes qui le faisaient.
So if for lives of sheep farming, it was women who would look after the lambing, and maybe it's our maternal side, but from that point of view, I didn't have any kind of difficulty at all, or to impose myself. It just happened normally. So Rick, so first, how did you, slightly different, how did you first arrive? Well, first of all, I am Danish, and I was very well welcomed. My father was president of the Limousin herd book in Denmark. But the world has changed, and it's still changing now as we talk. And the challenges as far as climate change and also health issues that we have to confront. And we're talking about the feminization of the agricultural world. Feminization is evolving. And in my department where I live, there are a lot of young farmers and farmers' wives and daughters who are setting up as farmers. And also that you see that in Denmark, whereas I was one of the first to show cattle at agri-farm shows in Denmark. Whereas now I go back, I see lots of girls and women presenting. I think it's more of it's a European wave, though I see it in other countries. I think it's more European than perhaps worldwide. So we can't expect farmers to male to give us a place. We have to muscle our way in and find that place and create that place and occupy that space.
Elle fait aussi évoluer les façons de travailler.
So, has that changed certain ways of approaching livestock farming? Yes, our machinery is concerned. That's there's been a lot of change since the 1960s. Thankfully, it's far easier to drive a tractor these days than it was in the 60s. Hydraulic steering and various other things have changed all of that. A lot more comfort. So, and also a lot more electronics. So it's, if you can just flicking a switch, well, woman or man, we can do that just as well. So as far as mechanization is concerned, so as far as changes of investment, maybe we're perhaps slightly more pragmatic, we'll put it that way, because personally, I don't really wish to invest in a huge tractor. I would rather be investing in a shedding and a holding pen, because it's a tool that I use every day. It's something I can use to sort my lambs, to weigh them, to handle my rams, requiring little physical effort. So maybe we have a more pragmatic approach to investment than our male counterparts, who obviously see themselves driving big tractors. We maybe have that more pragmatic approach. And though we accept that mechanization has helped women enormously, it's no longer a job based solely on physical strength. However, there's still a lot of equipment that isn't suitable. And I still find, for example, hydraulic connections can still be very complicated for women.
si vous voulez avoir plus de présence féminine, il faut aussi adapter, y compris pour...
If you want to see more women in farming, you need to adapt machinery more flexible and easier for women, something that's less difficult. And Rick, so as far as you're concerned, what do you say? Yes, so obviously the manual labor is still there, but a lot of things have been changed, been optimized, mechanization, and that has helped women enormously.
Et ça c'est bien parce que nous on n'a pas la même force.
And obviously because we don't have the same physical strength as men, though we need to think about that a little bit more, the difficulty of farming. It's our place of work.
Grâce à l'innovation,
but thanks to innovation and the tools that have been brought to the market, difficulty has allowed a lot of women to say themselves, well, I can now do it. I can now do it farming. I can now farm. And now we have more energy for our family and for ourselves. And you said earlier that women shouldn't wait for, but should actually take and seize that space. So is there change in the farming world? Yes, I think there's been enormous evolution. Historically, farmers were farmers' wives. They were obviously in the shadow of their farmer. They were the farmer's partner or their wife, their spouse, and they were working in the background. Whereas today, women farmers are setting up today as the principal farmers, and maybe their partner, male or female, is working in the background. And as we can see with Michelle, she's set up as a farmer. So we need that, farming world needs that, this complementarity, women and men. And if I can give advice to women farmers is to say, well, we're here, stand up and be counted. And I just want to say, so obviously on the social as well, and I just want a concrete, tangible thing. My son, born the 6th of May, 1992, I was back on the tractor 4 weeks later. Yet when my daughter was born in 2000, I had time off, and I wasn't expected to be back on the tractor within just a few weeks of the birth of my child. So people are starting to understand the place of women and what we require. And so also female women are far more welcoming perhaps than their men. Their farms now have bed and breakfast operations, visits to their farms, and they understand the people coming to visit their farm perhaps more so, and they're more communicative than perhaps their male counterparts. So we need to relaunch the administrative machine so that we are recognized and the women's place on farms is necessary. It's a vital part of and allows society to move on. And where there are women, mainly in Africa, where they educate their children. I won't talk about what goes on, talk about what happens in Afghanistan, but there are a lot of things to do throughout the world. Maybe in France and Europe we're privileged as far as regulations are concerned, but here we can obviously run a farm, run a business, and also maternity leave is now being opened up and far more flexible for women farmers, and we can get replacement workers in to cover us whilst we're on maternity leave. So from a general point of view, but that's from a general point of view, but from a farming point of view. So from a sheep point of view, I'm president of the Sheep Federation. My general secretary, she's a woman too. So it's not just for farmers to to allow us to take a space. It's for us to muscle our way in, to show the fact that we have a certain number of skills that are useful on farms. A question for you, so don't wake up, everybody. Question for you. Women are playing an increasingly important role in sheep production. In your opinion, what percentage of farmers are women? You have a choice of 18%, 32%, or 44%. Women are playing an increasingly important role in sheep production. In your opinion, what percentage of farmers in France are women in sheep? Sheep farmers are women in France. 18%, 32%, or 44%? Michel's going to give us the answer. Well, surprisingly enough, it's 44% of sheep farmers are women. So we can applaud that. It's a big number. So out of that 44%, and they're more or less every type of horizon. Yes, they come from really all walks of life, change of direction.
En fait aussi, la profession, elle a fait beaucoup d'efforts.
But also we've made a lot of effort too.
Avec l'interpro, c'est-à-dire toutes les familles interprofessionnelles de l'amont à l'aval.
The interprofessional family as such, from the start to the very, throughout somebody's farming career, is far more innovative.
Qui pénètre les lycées agricoles avec l'accord de la DGER. D'ailleurs, je remercie.
So we can see that 91% of milking sheep producers, 95% of sheep meat producers, in that 44%. I think many of these young people today, though, are looking for a life plan, looking for meaning, they're looking at an activity in which they can see the process through to the final product. Their involvement in on-farm processing, they're involved in direct farm gate sales, and a different way of thinking.
C'était à la bergerie de Rambouillet, avec un parcours sur des lycées agricoles en France. Voilà, je pense que c'est aussi à donner un peu cette image novatrice de
we can see that the institutions in France are now promoting, thankfully, the role of women farmers, that is the farmer, that is running the farm, managing the farm. And this is, it is a sense of oxygen, sense of air, allows us to feel that we are better received and have our place.
Sur ce point-là, Rick, votre avis?
So, Rick, sense of balance and meaning among the younger generation. Well, yes, true. I think that the younger people are also looking for balance, a quality of life,
le sens du métier,
a meaning even.
Et malgré les difficultés, je trouve qu'il y a encore beaucoup de jeunes.
And perhaps as well, despite the difficulties, that they want to get involved in livestock farming, despite the fact that they are challenging, and it gives great hope. And we see our role, Michel and myself, is to help them set up and to encourage them, these young women farmers or future farmers, that will ensure that France in the future is self-sufficient. So thank you, ladies, for your shared perspectives on the changes women are bringing in the agricultural sector.
So
we will find of women farmers. We can learn more about it during the show. So a quick conclusion from Jacques, once, as you know, president of the Sommet d'Élevage. Any questions here or online? Any questions? If you have your questions, there is a chat tool. Just use it.
De façon à ce que les gens à distance puissent vous entendre, si vous pouvez.
So, any questions, ask them in English. If you want, I'll translate.
La parole pour commencer. Je vous en prie. On a été clair, on a tout dit. Jacques, vous avez quelque chose à rajouter peut-être ou pas?
Jacques, something to add?
Oui, on a une question là-bas.
We do have a question.
Personne à distance peut-être.
Exactement.
Ok, très bien. On vous écoute.
Alors on nous demande, comme la prochaine édition se tiendra pendant une période préélectorale si il est attendu des visites politiques.
Are we expecting politicians to come and visit the show because this edition, 6th and 9th of October, can we expect politicians to come because in early 27, for those who don't know, will be the presidential election in France, April and May. So yes, for us, we hope that the various politicians, responsible leaders of the political parties come and visit us to learn about farming. And also another question, demonstration of machinery. An exhibitor wants to know if he or she can have a place to demonstrate their equipment. Yes, we will once again push the walls. Even though we've increased the machinery by 10,000 square meters, and yet another. In here. As far as the conferences during the show, is there one theme that's going to be the main topic of the conferences at this year's show? So, Benoît.
Il y a beaucoup de conférences, près de 160 conférences.
160 conferences. So obviously pastoralism is going to be a main theme.
Sinon, comme ça, je retiendrai
otherwise, three main Tuesday morning on the Common Agricultural Policy.
Donc grande conférence sur la PAC, à laquelle on attend bien sûr la ministre de l'Agriculture.
We're expecting the Minister of Agriculture to be there.
Fort, je l'espère. Ensuite, l'après-midi, la grande conférence aussi sur le pastoralisme.
Tuesday afternoon, the big conference on pastoralism with participation of the FAO.
C'est un grand temps fort aussi du mardi. Et puis le mercredi matin,
and the Wednesday morning.
Donc ça rejoint aussi un petit peu la thématique du pastoralisme. Donc là, c'est après Jean-Marc Jancovici l'an dernier.
Last year we had Jean-Marc Jancovici.
Donc là, ce sera avec
This year,
Eric Orsena.
Eric Orsena will be here.
Avec un invité surprise, mais pour l'instant, voilà, on attend confirmation.
And also a surprise guest who I can't say released information now because we're waiting for confirmation. Eric Orsena talking about our pastoral farming systems.
Solutions d'avenir, on l'a vu, et donc là on va croiser en fait le regard sociétal.
So again, shared perspectives on politicians, the public, and the realities on the ground. The shared perspectives of grassland farming.
Bien sûr, évidemment. Très bien.
So excellent. So before, I want a question here in the ring, in the room.
Bonjour, Claire Fresne, la France Agricole. Je voulais
Claire Fresne from the France Agricole.
L'obligation vaccinale pour les animaux présents sur place.
So, are you expecting to having to vaccinate cattle and livestock before they come to the show? We just don't know yet. But we have all of the veterinary and organizations and the groupings, the cooperatives, veterinary groupings found in each department. But I can reassure you that we will find a solution. If there has to be vaccination, it will happen. So thank you for that.
Alors, je vais remercier très rapidement.
I'm going to thank you. So obviously thank the ambassador to France and the ambassador also Max Bigson.
Bien sûr tous les intervenants.
Also all of the speakers I'd like to thank.
Je vais remercier aussi un homme de l'ombre, il est derrière vous, là-bas, notre traducteur fétiche, David Wilson, qui vous permet à tous, à distance, de suivre.
Well, they're thanking me for my participation. I don't know whether you feel it's been worthwhile. I sincerely hope so. So, thank you. Also, the technical team at GL Events for the video link, for the live translation and the connection with the FAO, and also the Ministry of Agriculture.
Pour avoir mis en place tout ça sans faille et la gentillesse surtout dans leur préparation. Jacques, c'est à vous de clôturer.
Jacques, the final word.
Quelques informations.
Je vais me mettre debout parce que...
I'm going to stand up.
Oui. Écoutez, beaucoup de choses ont été
dites. A lot of things have been said. So again, thank everybody, those who are remote and those who are here. Just two topics. So, the place of women in farming, mainly in livestock farming. In my case, it's the event. So women have an approach to livestock that are far more rigorous than men, far more sympathetic. So we've also spoken about health. And the second thing I want to leave you with, that Bruno said earlier about the pâture, the pasture show happening in the Place de Jaude. Place de Jaude, as I said, is a very big square in the middle of Clermont-Ferrand. And the objective of that, as well as being a political forum, it's also for us to use the pâture stand so that the general public can understand the importance from the food sovereignty point of view and also the maintenance of their landscape that they enjoy walking across, skiing across in the winter, etc. Without the farmers, without their livestock, would there be that? So it's very important. It's been said. So again, without the commissioner who's been able to support us, the communications and everything, it's important. It's an important communication tool for us. It connects obviously with the trade show and also to educate the general public and educate the politicians of what pastoralism is all about in the Massif Central and also throughout the world. Thank you very much. So just want to say, so we've pushed the walls back even further at the Sommet. So we're a trade fair, but also we're talking now to the general public and a vocation and also a political standpoint. So thank you very much.
Alors pour vous retrouver à ce carrefour économique, c'est du 6 au 9
we'll find you the 6th to the 9th of October, the 9th of October, the 35th edition of the Sommet d'Élevage. So thank you very much for those who have been remote. I will give a final word. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it's been worthwhile. Thank you.
Et pour les personnes qui sont avec nous dans la salle, on va continuer ces échanges au Petit Varennes. Donc on vous retrouve tout de suite, évidemment, pour continuer cette réunion de lancement du sommet. À très bientôt.